start with our first technical session. In fact, the only session that we have today. I would now request Vraj Choksi to give a brief introduction of the faculty. Let me welcome Dr. Bharat Shah, who has joined us today. He's going to speak on a very important topic, that is healthy lifestyle and naturopathy. Welcome, sir. We welcome from Ahmedabad branch and all the 80 branches. We welcome you to join us virtually at Ahmedabad. And now I would request Vraj Choksi to please introduce, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Vraj.
Good morning, everyone. I am Vraj Choksi from Ahmedabad Vikasa. I am glad to introduce Dr. Bharat Shah sir. Dr. Bharat Shah sir completed his postgraduate study in pediatrics from Vadodara Medical College. Then he worked as a pediatrician at KGP Children Hospital, Vadodara, and subsequently at Seva Rural, Jagadia, from about 5 years. Apart from routine hospital work, he was also involved in developing and executing community-based health program that successfully reduced infant mortality rate, which is IMR, in project area villages around Jagadia. Although his basic area of work was pediatrics and community health, he gradually found alternate system of healthcare increasingly interesting. Consequently, he completed his advanced diploma in naturopathy and yoga from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and obtained training as a yoga teacher. His interest in the field of mind and emotion also inspired him to complete a postgraduate diploma course in clinical hypnosis from Charsurat University, Changa. His deep interest in health awareness and educational led him to publish educative booklets on various diseases and healthy lifestyle. He also translated a book of medicine plants that was originally published by World Health Organization titled as The Use of Traditional Medicine in Primary Healthcare. At present, he working as a director Nisar Gopchar Kendra at the Vinoba Ashram, Gotri, Vadodara. He also a member of advisory committee of Janki Devi Bajaj Nature Cure Center managed by Gujarat Vidyapit, Ahmedabad. He has served as a member of managing committee of Sri Morarji Desai College of Naturopathy and Yoga Sciences, Karelibag, Vadodara, and also as a member of governing council of Foundation and Revitalization of Local Health Tradition, a Bangalore-based organization that has been recognized as a national center of excellence in medicinal plants by the government of India. He has been nominated as a member of governing body of National Institute of Naturopathy, Pune, as well as a member of Naturopathy Certification Board and the steering committee at of NCB by Ministry of ICI, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Thank you.
Thank you, Vraj. With this, I think I will now request Dr. Bharat Shah. Sir, if you can please take over the session.
Yeah. Thank you, Raj Choksi, for my introduction and the entire team of ICAI. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm privileged to have with you and talk about naturopathy and healthy lifestyle. In fact, a few days back, my own CA introduced me that wonderful activities are going on. They are conducting, Ahmedabad branch of CAs are conducting wonderful activities about health and other things. So I'm privileged to be with you today morning. I'll share my screen first and then we'll start with our talk. Yeah, my screen is visible. I hope so. Yeah, can anybody tell me my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So we'll start with our today's topic, healthy lifestyle and naturopathy. So I am going to discuss about what is naturopathy in brief, because there are many misconceptions about naturopathy, health status of our country. Like talking with CAs, I have to deal with certain figures and numbers. That is important, I suppose. Infrastructure and cost of healthcare and why there is need for healthy lifestyle in today's scenario. Factors that affect our health and basically what constitutes healthy lifestyle. Something about scientific evidence on effects of lifestyle change on our health and tips to implement healthy lifestyle in our daily life. So what is naturopathy? And there are many misconceptions about naturopathy in the society. Most of the people say that naturopathy is mainly meant for managing the obesity. Many of our doctor friends send patients to us just to reduce weight. Some people believe that it is the science which deals with herbalism, various herbs and natural things. People say that massage centers, hydrotherapy, jacuzzi, underwater massage, all these are naturopathy. Some people believe that it is a science of disease management without using drugs. But the real definition of naturopathy is that it's a system that utilizes the inherent healing forces available within our body and our mind to help a person maintain health and get rid of diseases. Now, generally, when we become sick, we generally go to the doctors and they prescribe us medicine. Whereas naturopathy says that you have our inherent healing forces available within your body, and that deals with and that has capacity to remove out the disease. We'll just briefly go through some of the examples. Many of us must have suffered injury like this anywhere in our body where the skin is cut. When the cut is of sufficiently, long length, generally we go to the doctors. Doctor cleans the wound and then takes the sutures. And then he says that come after 10 days, 12 days, or maybe 7 days, and we'll remove the sutures after 10 days. Now, suppose there is a person who says that, oh, I have some important work and I can't withstand with these sutures and dressings for 10 days. Doctor, please do something for me so that the sutures can be removed within 3 days. Give me whatever medicine you want to give me whatever injection you want to give, but remove these sutures within 3 days. What do we expect the answer from the doctor? He will say, though, it's not possible, dear. Sutures we have to keep the sutures for 10 days and the skin will take its own time to heal. So the doctors wants to convey that my role stops at taking just the sutures. And then it is the nature who ultimately heals the skin. I can keep the cut end of the skin together, but ultimately the union of skin, healing of skin is not in my hand. It can be done only through the healing power of nature. So these are the healing power of nature that we have been talking about. The healing power is same there with in the bone where the fracture is healed. It is there where when the cut part of blood vessel and we have bleeding somewhere in the body and we just give pressure for a few minutes and then the bleeding stops. And ultimately the blood vessel is healed on its own. So these are the basically healing powers of the nature available in our body and mind. And it is this healing power that we naturopaths utilize for healing. Our body, human body, is a wonderful machine and it is a self-programmed machine. Before we take birth, there is just single cell in the womb of our mother that is called fertilized ovum. And within 9 months, from just single cell, the whole human body is made. And it is made on its own. No doctor is required there to give medicine and to monitor the progress at that particular time. From this single cell only, our eyes, our cornea is formed, our heart is formed, our kidney is formed, our skin is formed, and our bones are formed. Each organ of the body has different functions and different structure, and still they come out from just one single cell. And later on, as the body develops, as the age progresses, we have around 37 trillion cells in our body. And out of that, nearly 50 to 70 billion cells are produced every day, and similarly 50 to 70 billion cells are dying every day. So every second 2 million cells die, and in spite of that, our routine work goes as it is. Every single second 2 million cells are born. Every single second 2 million cells are dying, and still our face remains same, our fingerprint remains same, our cornea remains same, our digestive process remains same, and every metabolic function of our body works as it is. So this is a wonderful machine that the God has given us. It knows how to produce, it knows how to maintain, and it knows how to degenerate. Everything is self-programmed. What we need to do is to provide a proper environment to the body so that it can run normally and it can heal on its own. So naturopathy basically deals with using this kind of healing power that is available in our body for maintaining health as well as getting out of the disease. Now we move on with this understanding that what is the importance of healthy lifestyle. Nowadays we know that there are so many diseases, chronic diseases, and the ultimate answer with the chronic disease is healthy lifestyle. If we just glance through a few figures, there is one important indicator of health that is known as IMR, infant mortality rate. In infant mortality rate, that is how many infants, children less than 1 year, die before they reach the end of the first year, before they reach their first birthday. How many children die out of 1,000 born children? So in 1951, immediately after our independence, there were 160 children used to die before they reach 1 year out of 1,000 newborn babies. And gradually with advancement in health science, it has reduced to 34. A significant improvement in healthcare, I would say. Similarly, the life expectancy at birth in 1951 was just 32. A person who can expect their average lifespan was just 32 years in 1951. Some people used to live for quite a long time, 90 years, 100 years, but definitely many of the children were dying prematurely. So that is why the average lifespan was quite less. And recently, it has reached to 68 to 70 years. So our average lifespan, life expectancy is 70 years now. Some of the diseases like smallpox, polio, guinea worm disease, they have almost disappeared thanks to the modern medical science. But at the same time, many of the non-communicable diseases like high blood pressure, heart disease, cancers, diabetes, they are on rise. We all know that some of our relatives, either in our family or our near and dear ones, they suffer from one of these kind of chronic disorders, diseases. And this is happening world over, not only in India, but all over the world. We have rise in non-communicable or chronic disorders. And it was very surprising fact for me when I look at this data of 2014 published by WHO, that out of the all adult population, more than 18 years, almost 1/4 of our population is suffering from high blood pressure. In a general population, if 1/4 of the population is suffering from high blood pressure, it's a significantly very, very high proportion. Almost 10% of the population is suffering from diabetes. 5% of population is suffering from obesity. These are very high figures. And we just briefly go through what are the facilities, availability of facilities in our country. From 1951 to 2004, in 15 years, the number of hospital beds have increased 8 times. The number of doctors have increased by 10 times. Number of nursing personnel have increased by 45 times. The money we spend for maintaining health has also tremendously increased. And I have a figure from 1975 to 2002. In just 25 years, it was increased by 45 times. Such a huge growth in expenditure. Many of the countries are spending almost 15 to 20% of their GDPs for maintaining health, most of the developing countries. And in spite of that, all these chronic disorders are increasing even in developed countries also. In India, we spend almost 4 to 5% of our GDP for health. And in spite of that, all these disorders are increasing. And recently in COVID times also, we have seen what is the status of health in spite of having this kind of healthcare facilities in our country. Pharmaceutical market is also increasing at the rate of 10 to 15%. And we have, these are 2016 figures, 5-year-old figures, but the business in pharmaceutical market is 2,45,000 crores of rupees every year. And the growth rate is also going on at the rate of 10 to 15%. Medical equipment market is also quite huge. This was just to show that in spite of spending all this kind of resources, money, doctors, nurses, health personnel, hospital infrastructure, medicines, and technology, what we are looking today is increase in number of chronic disorders like heart disease, diabetes, cancers, chronic lung disorders, and all that. Why this is happening? If we are spending our resources in right direction, all these diseases should come down, but it's not happening. This is what the data shows. And what are the problems? If we have to say the same thing, I would like to say the single most important determinant of our health, the thing that determines our health is not the number of hospitals, not the number of doctors and nurses, not the amount of money that we allocate for our health, not growth of pharmaceutical sector, certainly, and not growth of technology in health sector. All these are important. I'm not saying that these are not important. Research has to go on. New technology has to come in. More and more doctors are required, and more hospitals are also required in our country. That recently we have experienced in COVID times. There were lack of hospitals and doctors and all that. And definitely more amount of GDP needs to be spent for healthcare. But if we have to think about what is most important out of all this, I would say nothing out of all this. The most important thing that manages our health is our lifestyle that we choose. So what is the lifestyle ultimately? The lifestyle is determined by our diet, our daily routine, exercise and rest, psychological stress, our emotions, and the environment. And we'll look into all these factors briefly, how it affects our health and what requires to be done. Healthy food. There was a good paragraph in annual report of World Health Organization long back, almost 20 years back, but it is quite relevant even today. I'm going through that paragraph. Affluent populations today habitually consume a diet that was unknown to the human species a mere 10 generations ago. Whatever we have been consuming today was not known to human species just 10 generations, 250 years, 300 years ago. Compared with the diet that fueled human evolution, the so-called affluent diet into inverted commas, today has twice the amount of fat, a much higher ratio of saturated to unsaturated fatty acids, a third of former daily fiber intake, much more sugar and sodium, fewer complex carbohydrates, and reduced intake of micronutrients. जिस आहार ने उत्क्रांति का पोषण किया है, हमारे उत्क्रांति का इतिहास तो हजारों सालों का है, उसके साथ देखते हुए आज का कहलाने वाला समृद्ध आहार, उसमें चर्बी की बहुत ज्यादा मात्रा है, संतृप्त चर्बी की ज्यादा मात्रा है, हम ज्यादा चीनी और नमक खा रहे हैं और ऐसा आहार ले रहे हैं जिसमें फाइबर कम है, कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट जो हमें अनाज, तरकारियां और फल में से मिलते हैं वो कम है, और माइक्रोन्यूट्रिएंट्स जो हमें फल और तरकारियां में से मिलती है, सब्जियों में से मिलती है, वो उसका प्रमाण कम हो चुका है। Worldwide, the adoption of this diet has been accompanied by a major increase in coronary heart disease, stroke, various cancers, diabetes, and other chronic disorders. विश्व भर में ऐसा आहार अपनाने के साथ लंबे समय वाले रोग जैसे हृदय रोग, स्ट्रोक जिसको पैरालिसिस कहा जाता है, अलग अलग तरह के कैंसर, डायबिटीज और अन्य लंबे समय के रोग का प्रमाण बढ़ रहा है। ये WHO हमें करीब करीब 25 साल से कह रहा है। तो important components in our healthy food, we need to think about how much fat do we take in our diet. Fat is definitely required in our diet, but too much of fat that is seen in these days is definitely hazardous. It affects negatively to our health. We also need to look at the fruits and vegetables, amount of fruits and vegetables in our daily diet, the fiber, salt, whether we are choosing vegetarian or non-vegetarian diet. And there are certain chemicals and stimulants in our food. We'll look into all these things briefly. As I have said earlier, fruits and vegetables are one thing we need to take care about it. In USA, there is an important institution known as National Cancer Institute working under the guidance of National Institute of Health, that is Premier Institute of Health in USA. And they have floated a program known as 5-a-day program. And the 5-a-day program says that every one of us need to consume a set amount of fruits and vegetables, raw vegetables, either in raw form or in the form of juices, to prevent long-term diseases like cancers, hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. And how much amount is required? They say around 5 to 9 servings of the day of fruits and vegetables per day. One serving constitutes around 100 to 125, 80 to 100 grams of edible portion. So around 100 grams of one fruit, like one banana, or 2 or 3 chicus, or maybe one small apple, or maybe 100 grams of grapes, they constitute one serving. 1 glass full of vegetable or fruit juice, they constitute one serving. So we need to consume such 2 to 3 servings of fruits and such 2 to 3 servings of vegetables in form of salad or vegetable juices every day. Those who are not comfortable with vegetables can consume more of fruits. Those who are not comfortable with fruits can consume more of vegetables or vegetable juices. But a variety of fruits and vegetables of variety of natural colors, people say, like a rainbow color diet. Each of our fruits and vegetables have a unique color, like mango has its own color, papaya has its own color, jamun has its own color, carrot has its own color. So different kinds of colorful, natural colorful fruits and vegetables needs to be consumed, and they give us variety of antioxidants which are quite helpful for maintaining our health. Other things which I have mentioned is fiber. Those who are consuming more of maida products and polished rice, white rice, need to be a bit cautious about it. We should have whole grain food, whole grain diet, and less polished rices like brown rice or hand pound rices. Salt also needs to be taken care of. Too much salt is not good. It will increase high blood pressure and ultimately affect heart disease negatively. And of course, in long run, it can also affect kidneys. Vegetarian diet is definitely good for our health. More and more scientific literature is coming out which informs that non-vegetarian diet is not good for our health. And vegetarian diet will also look into certain studies later on that how vegetarian diet can reverse many of the diseases. There are certain stimulants in our food. Some people take alcohol, some people take coffee and tea. Most of us rather must be taking coffee and tea, but some people take it in more proportions every day, 3 glasses or 2 cups or 4 cups or 5 cups a day, and it affects negatively. The less we go for stimulants like tea and coffee and dark chocolates in our diet, it is better for our health. And there are certain chemicals in our food. So how does the chemical come into our food? Definitely through various kinds of pesticides. That is one most important way through which many of the chemicals come in our food. And another thing is various kinds of food additives. When we look for prepared food, ready to eat food from the market that comes in packets, and if we just look at the label of the packet, it contains many kinds of food additives like artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, artificial flavoring agents, and at times it is coded in specific codes like E112, E416, things like that. And at times even heavy metals also come into our diet because of water pollution and land pollution, which contains the land and water contains many heavy metals and chemicals. So these are the different ways through which chemicals come into our food. It is said that more than 10,000 chemicals are there in our food, some of them as part of food additives, a few of them like pesticides, and more than 10,000 such chemicals are there in our food, and we will need to be aware about this thing. Pesticide residue on poor food. This is very old study, almost more than 10 years old, but very relevant even today. And if my screen is visible, you can see certain kinds of food items here, like wheat, milk, butter, brinjal, rice, apple, tomatoes, all these food items that we regularly consume in our day-to-day diet and without which we cannot survive. And all these pesticides are found in more than almost 200 to 100 to 200 times the maximum residue limit that is approved by the government. So you can see here the highest pesticide residue in form of ppm in milk. Chlorpyrifos chemical was found in a sample taken from Ahmedabad, and the maximum residue limit is 0.01 ppm. The residue found in milk in the sample taken from Ahmedabad was 2.36. So that means 236 times the maximum residue limit permitted by the government. Similarly, in wheat, aldrin, which is banned chemical pesticide and affects our reproductive system negatively and of course causes cancer, was found in 220 times the maximum residue limit permitted. The similar things in rice, apple, and tomatoes. So if we are not aware about this, and if we positively do not look for organic food, we are definitely ingesting such harmful chemicals and pesticides in our body. And it can lead to various kinds of diseases, including from irritation into skin, eyes, and lungs, to various kinds of cancers and blood disorders, birth defects, reproduction defects, infertility, and also affects our hormones negatively, like thyroid hormones, reproductive hormones, and nervous systems negatively. These food additives, the colorful diet that we look for, not natural but artificially colored diet that we are getting in the market today, also have many kind of adverse effects on our health. It includes various kinds of allergies like asthma, even damage to kidneys and livers, and also at times causes or adds to cancer. There was one important study done from CSE, Science for Center for Science and Environment, one of the very good institution working on environment in Delhi, and they studied various samples of bread, our routine bread, for carcinogens in the bread. There are two types of carcinogens, potassium bromate and potassium iodate, which are added as food additives in bread. And they studied they studied breads of 6 different companies and almost 38 samples of various kinds of bread, like atta bread, whole wheat bread, buns, and things like that. And out of 38 samples, 84% of samples, that means 32 of the samples, they contained carcinogen, potassium bromate or potassium iodate. And we do not know. We think that the bread is such a simple, uncommon thing that we can take it from a shop anytime and we can take our meal. But we should be aware that it contains, of course, small amount, but a chemical which can cause cancer. And it was very unfortunate that only out of these 6 companies, only one company wrote on their label that they contain this particular chemical, and that was also in the form of code name like 1100. 1100 is potassium bromate, which is a known carcinogen. And rest of the 5 companies did not even bother to mention on their labels that they have put this particular food additives or chemical in their product or bread. So on an average, we have been consuming this study was done in Western countries, so not probably for us, but for an average Westerner is consuming 12 grams of such kind of food additive chemicals every day in their stomach. And many of these chemicals have their side effects when they are consuming the dose of 150 to 200 milligram a day. Suppose our diet is not that much, we do not consume the diet from shop, prepared diet from shop, like in Western countries, but even if we consider 1/3 or 1/4 of what is consumed in Western countries, even then 3 grams of food additives is also quite at a upper level than what causes side effects at the 150 to 200 milligram a day. Another important factor in our lifestyle, other than diet, is exercise. Many of us have sedentary lifestyle, and insufficient physical activity is considered the 4th leading cause for mortality. If we just do regular exercise of 30 minutes of brisk walking every day, just this much exercise can reduce the chances of heart disease by 35%, type 2 diabetes by 50%, can reduce certain types of cancers from 20% to 50%, reduces causes or chance for arthritis by nearly 80%, and also reduces the chance of depressions by 30%. So these are the good benefits of exercise. And if you can just do regular exercise other than diet, it helps a lot. Third important thing is sleep. Lack of sleep causes various kinds of complications and diseases. So our body requires a good amount of, rather adequate amount of sleep on daily basis. There are at times we can do some work or more working hours, we can stretch to a couple of days, but otherwise on long term, if we just deprive ourselves from the sleep, it affects our body negatively. The third important factor that affect our health, other than diet, daily routine, exercise, the third important factor is psycho, emotional, and social health or factors. Psychological stress, either acute or chronic, affects our health negatively. Our emotions, which kind of emotions do we harbor in our heart? If there are healthy emotions, it's good. If we are harboring unhealthy emotions, it definitely affects negatively to us. And whether we find ourselves socially connected or we find ourselves isolated, also affects our health in a strong way. So this is one of the very, very important component that affects our health. 20th century was considered as a century of stress, and WHO says that like we have now epidemic of mucormycosis or epidemic of corona, COVID, the whole century, last century, and even more so in this century, the world is suffering from epidemic of stress. Stress, anxiety, worry, all these causes depressions, chances of suicidal tendencies, and people also get engaged with various kinds of addictions with stress. So this is one of the important part, and there is no single organ in our body which cannot be affected with stress. Each and every cell and each and every organ of our body gets impacted negatively with uncontrolled stress. Our heart rate increases, our blood pressure increases, our blood sugar goes up, our blood arteries in the pressure in the arteries goes up, pupils dilate. It also affects our intestinal muscles and digestive system negatively. Even the blood flow to the skeletal muscles and contraction of skeletal muscles also changes with our stress, and even breathing rate also changes with our mental conditions. So long-term stress can cause heart disease, various kinds of pain in our body at various places. It affects our digestive system negatively, causes sleep disorders, even causes obesity and depression, and even skin conditions also. And it is very, very important that as we take care of our diet, we also need to take care of our psychological diet, our diet of our thoughts and emotions. And any kind of stress or any kind of thought or even emotions, they affect our endocrine system. It goes to hypothalamus, the signal goes to hypothalamus, which has ultimate control on our endocrinal glands, pituitary gland, which is considered master gland, and then it controls various other glands of the body. It also affects our nervous system and changes the blood pressure, sweating, heart rate, respiration, gastric acidity, gastric movements, also affects our respiratory system and various other natural chemicals that decide our metabolism. And there are various kinds of tools that we can apply every day, like yoga, omkar, pranayama, yoga nidra, maybe progressive muscular relaxation or any kind of relaxation technique, meditation, affirmation or prayer, self-hypnosis, counseling, satsang, reading some good books. There are various tools, but we need to aware about our mental processes and do some regular activity to keep our stress under control. Our life is such that it cannot be without stress, but it needs to be managed and controlled on regular basis. That is very, very important. Emotional stress. At times when we talk about psychological stress, we think about pressure for work, we think about financial stress, we think about maybe stress because our children are not getting properly educated or not getting good ranks or things like that. But emotional stress is considered more damaging than psychological stress. What kind of emotions we keep in our heart? Dr. Dean Ornish, who has done wonderful work as far as lifestyle is concerned, there is very good quote of given by him. Love and intimacy, our ability to connect with ourselves and others, is at the root what makes us sick and what makes us well. How do we connect with others and ourselves? What are the emotions we have for our own self? And what are the emotions we have for our near and dear ones or our others? And that affects us negatively. I would like to just share one example. A simple day-to-day occurring, like our daughter has gone to tuition class and has not come at the time. She's getting late and we are trying to reach her on phone, but she's not reachable. So there will be thought that she may have met with accident or somebody might have harassed her. And then worries start. It's an emotion that starts with this particular thought. With this particular thought and emotion, there will be increase in heartbeats and probably sweating also. It will also affect our respiratory system and our breathing rate will change. And it will also change the behavior, like making repeated calls to reach out to her or going out to the out in the street to the road and just looking at her whether she is coming or not, or calling other relatives where her tuition class is near our at the place where some of our relatives are staying there. So any single thought and any single emotion, it affects our physical health as well as our behavior. And the thought or emotion affects hypothalamus or amygdala in our brain. It's part of limbic system. It also releases certain chemicals, and the chemicals, they decide what molecule will go into our cell or not, what protein will go into that, or whether glucose will go into our cell or not. These are decided by certain neurochemicals, and they are released by our limbic system with single thought or emotion. It also affects our endocrinal glands. There are various endocrinal glands, including thyroid, thymus, adrenal, pancreas, ovary, and testes. And these various endocrine glands release certain chemicals which regulate our metabolism, and our thought and emotion affect all these secretions of our endocrine system. It also affects with our autonomic nervous system, and autonomic nervous system and endocrine glands are two systems which govern each and every cell processes in our body. And the limbic system also directly signal and affect the centers of hunger, our immune system, thirst, sex drives, blood sugar, blood pressure, heart rate, memory, and various kinds of cellular functions and digestive systems. So indirectly, each thought and each emotion has a tremendous power, and it is said that it is basically 24-hour open pharmacy within our body. Each thought and each emotion affects more than 1,000 different types of natural chemicals, naturally occurring chemicals in our body. So it's a pharmacy housing more than 1,000 different kinds of drugs, and they are affected with our thought and emotions. And it is open 24 hours a day continuously, because we cannot control our thoughts and emotions. So it is very, very important to be aware about our thoughts, our emotions, and regulate them for the benefit of our physical health also. It will also help to improve our mental and emotional health. But even at the level of physical health also, we need to control our thoughts and emotions. These kind of negative emotions like feeling of isolation, fear, grief, envy, anger, vengeance, hatred, ego, and greed affects negatively. And positive emotions like forgiveness, love, faith, hope, trust, enthusiasm, compassion, helping others, all these affect positively for our own self. So it is very much required to create positivity, positive emotions for sake of our own health also. And there are certain tools by which we can manage our emotions. Mindfulness technique or mindfulness meditation, practicing unconditional love, practicing forgiveness, gratitude journaling, random acts of kindness, helping others. This affects positively. Of course, physical activity also helps to regulate our emotions. And when we are down with very high amount of negativity in our mind, there is a technique known as purged emotional writing. If you can just go through Google and write down purged emotional writing, you will find the technique, how to practice this technique about it. I would also request everyone to go through this particular YouTube video. Anita Moorjani. This is the lady who has written a book, Dying to Be Me. And if you just type keyword of Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me, TEDx lecture, you will find 18-minute video which shows how powerful are our emotions. She has cured her cancer just by changing her emotions. So this is the power of emotion. For lack of time, I would not like to, I will rush through the environmental pollutions and toxins that affect our health. We get various kinds of environmental toxins through food, air and water pollution, use of plastics and cookware, personal care products and household products, which use various kinds of chemicals, and they affect our health negatively. We will not be able to go into these details at present. But I would like to just inform you that we are using more than 200 types of chemicals by either personal care products or by various other ways. And many of these chemicals are endocrine disruptors, carcinogens, mutagens, immunotoxic. It affects our reproductive system negatively and affects livers and damages kidneys and things like that. And we need to be aware about it. And various kinds of chemicals are there. There was one study in USA, and it showed that 232 toxic chemicals were found in umbilical cord of blood from US newborns. So before we are born, we are exposed to more than 200 different types of toxic chemicals from the womb itself. This is the level of pollution in present days. And then there are certain scientific evidences which shows that if we change our lifestyle to positively, then it can reverse, it has power to reverse various kinds of diseases. Like this was one study which showed that if we take vegetarian diet, low fat diet, low salt diet, and more of fruits and vegetables, you can reduce your blood pressure, and it can offer alternative to drug therapy in hypertensive. So you can reduce your antihypertensive medicines also, and at times you can omit also gradually with change in lifestyle. It's possible. This was a study published in Journal of American Medical Association, and it proved that if you change your lifestyle to positive side, even the coronary atherosclerosis, which causes heart disease, can be reversed, and you can completely be out of your medicines gradually over a period of years with change in lifestyle. This is one study which was published in Journal of Urology, and they did study on prostate cancer, and with change in lifestyle, they could reverse prostate cancer also to some extent. This is a study which was published that just by 3 months of observing lifestyle change, you can change the expression of your genes. We generally believe that whatever we have inherited high blood pressure from our father or diabetes from our mother, then we say that we are suffering diabetes or suffering from high blood pressure because we have inherited that. But this study shows that if you change your lifestyle to positive side, those genes which we have inherited do not show up, they get turned off and do not show their characteristics. So such kind of genes can be switched off with change in lifestyle. And there is one study which shows that if we change our lifestyle to positive side, there is the telomere at the end of chromosomes, which gets elongated, and these are the telomeres which decide our lifespan. So with change in lifestyle to positive side, we can also there is chance that our lifespan can be increased. The key message here is eat balance nourishing and homemade traditional food, do regular exercise and take adequate rest, respect traditional norms for daily routine, early to go bed, early to wake up. It helps to maintain our biological clock and helps our health immensely. Manage psychological stress, manage our emotional stress, and do something on regular basis to purify our emotions, and take conscious steps to reduce exposure of chemicals in our daily life. It is possible. And we need to reduce our carbon footprints consciously. Two important quotes I would like to quote, and before I end my talk here, and we can have some time for question and answers. Dr. Dean Ornish, about whom I made a reference earlier. People often think that the advances in medicine have to be a new drug, a new laser, or a surgical intervention to be powerful. Something really high-tech and expensive. They often have a hard time believing that the simple choices that we make in our lives each day, what we eat, how we respond to our stress, whether or not we smoke, or what are our habits, how much we exercise, and the quality of our relationship can make such a powerful difference in our life, our health, and our well-being, our survival, but they often do. हमें कई बार समझने में दिक्कत होती है, पर ये सही है कि ये छोटी छोटी चीजें, हमारे आहार, हमारे तनाव का हम कैसा नियंत्रण करते हैं, हमारी आदतें कैसी है, हमारे कसरत करते हैं कि नहीं करते हैं, और हम दूसरों के साथ कैसी कैसी भावनाएं रखते हैं अपने साथ और दूसरों के साथ, वो हमारी हेल्थ के ऊपर बहुत गहरी असर करती है. और गांधी जी का एक कोट, आहार विहार की गलतियों को दूर किए बिना केवल हवा पानी सुधारने से रोग मुक्त होने की इच्छा करना वैसा ही है जैसा किसी चीज को साफ पानी से धोकर फिर गंदे कपड़े से पोंछने के बराबर है. और इन दोनों को, आहार विहार की गलतियों को और हवा पानी दोनों को सुधारे बिना दवाइयों से स्वस्थ होने की इच्छा रखना ऐसा मानने के समान है कि गंदे कपड़े को काला रंग देने से वह साफ हो जाता है. हम कभी सिर्फ दवाइयों से ठीक नहीं रह सकते. हमें अपनी लाइफस्टाइल को चेंज करना होगा. जहाँ जरूरी है वहां पे हम दवाई जरूर ले सकते हैं, उसकी मदद ले सकते हैं, पर जब तक हम अपनी लाइफस्टाइल को बदलते नहीं है तब तक हमें कोई लंबा फायदा, लंबे समय का फायदा नहीं मिल सकता है. थैंक यू. Thank you. My talk is over. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're
Yeah. If we have time, we can take a couple of questions.
Yes, sir. Just a minute, sir. We are just okay. So one of the questions is how to reduce the impact of pesticides on tomatoes and wheat.
Yeah. First of all, we have to choose or look for organic products. We try and look for. There are now some organic stores available in many of the cities now, and we can also get connected with farmers who can grow organic for us. Of course, we'll have to give them premium price, but first of all, that is important. If we do not get organic products or organic food articles, the another thing is that we can keep those food articles like tomatoes or vegetables in warm water with salt added to it. Keep it for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, wash it properly, and then you can reduce the chance of whatever pesticides were there on the skin, that can be reduced. And for those vegetables where you can remove the skin, you need to remove out the skins.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have another question. How can we reduce our carbon presence? Can you please elaborate more on that?
Yeah, carbon footprint is how much resources that we use for our day-to-day life. See, we cannot understand or believe that if we suppose whatever example I was giving, that the plastic bottle, the water in the plastic bottle contains many of the plastic particles, and the water we have been drinking today contains various kinds of plastic particles. Suppose I choose that I won't be using plastic bottles for my drinking water. Just by changing that, it is not going to reduce it's not going to stop consumption of plastic particles from our water. We need to reduce the consumption of plastics in our day-to-day life, and it has to be a kind of movement. When many people will start doing this, then only the amount of plastic which is there in the environment and water resources will go down. Similarly, we also need to think that we need to reduce our needs. If we keep on increasing our needs, there will be definitely more and more factories will be required, more and more production will be required, more and more pollution will keep on going, and every one of us need to think about how to reduce our needs in for living, or our needs.
Thank you, sir. The next question is on, please suggest more on milk. Amul cow milk is good or not? A2 or normal cow milk? We consume high quantity of milk and milk products.
Yeah, true. This is very tricky question, because see, when we ask about talk about milk, we also know that some people also sell chemically prepared milk that is available in the market. And to my surprise, when I came to know about it, some of the milk products that we consume from we get from the market, like sweets and all that, where खोया is used. मावा जो गुजराती में कहते हैं या खोया हिंदी में कहते हैं, तो इसमें मिलाया जाता है, उसमें कई जगहों पे केमिकल से बनाया हुआ खोया मिलता है। जो बाजार में जो स्वीट्स मिलती है, उसमें कई केमिकल से बनाई हुई खोया उसमें इस्तेमाल होता है, बिकॉज इट इज क्वाइट चीपर। तो जो हमें अगर सीधा कोई फार्मर से मिलता है तो सबसे अच्छा है। वो अगर अवेलेबल नहीं है तो हमें जो स्टैंडर्ड डेयरी है उस पर ही आधार रखना पड़ेगा, जैसे अमूल है, या तो बड़ौदा डेयरी है, या तो कोई और जो डेयरी है उसके पर ही आधार रखना पड़ेगा। पर हो सकता है तो हमें सीधे प्रोड्यूसर के से संपर्क बनाना पड़ेगा। जो फार्मर है या जो गोपालक है, जो गाय या भैंस को पालता है, उसके साथ संपर्क बनाना पड़ेगा। हम ऐसा मानेंगे कि हम तो सिर्फ पैसे बनाएंगे और जो उगाने वाला है वो अपने हिसाब से उगाए, तो उगाने वाले को भी पैसे बनाना है और वो तो ऐसी चीज हमें देगा जिसमें उसका फायदा ज्यादा है। So this requires a definitely change in life and looking at life altogether. It requires a fundamental change, but we need to make or start thinking about it.
Thank you, sir. What is the cure for indigestion and constipation?
Yeah, सबसे महत्व का है कि हमें अपनी लाइफस्टाइल को बदलना होगा। हम क्या खाते हैं, कौन से समय पे खाते हैं, कितना खाते हैं, और जो खाते हैं वो डाइजेशन हो रहा है कि नहीं, उस पर ध्यान देना होगा। जो चीज हमें पचने में भारी है उसको छोड़ना पड़ेगा। समय बेसमय खाना बंद करना पड़ेगा। समय से खाना पड़ेगा। शाम का जो भोजन है उसको जल्दी करना पड़ेगा। ये अगर नहीं करते और दवाई लेंगे कि वो कोई दवाई से हमारा इंडाइजेशन ठीक हो जाए, तो वो होने वाला नहीं। भोजन के समय हमारा मन कहाँ पे है? अगर हम टीवी देखते हैं, हमारा मन काम में लगा रहता है, मोबाइल में देखते रहते हैं, और हम सोचे कि हम जो खा रहे हैं उसका वो ठीक से पचन होगा, तो वो नहीं हो सकता है। भोजन खाते समय ठीक से चबाना होगा और शांति से उसमें मन लगा के भोजन करना होगा, तो डाइजेशन उसका ठीक होगा। तो ये सब छोटी छोटी बातें हैं, बेसिक बातें हैं, पर उसके बिना हम स्वस्थ नहीं रह सकते।
True, sir. Is drinking hot water throughout the day daily advisable or beneficial?
Yeah, I would not say hot water, but I would recommend warm water.
Okay.
ठंडा पानी शरीर के लिए नुकसान वाला है, उसमें कोई सवाल नहीं, कोई बेमत नहीं। पर बहुत गर्म भी शरीर के लिए ठीक नहीं। कई लोग ऐसा मानते हैं कि बहुत गर्म पियो तो आपका जो कोरोना वायरस है वो निकल जाएगा, पर उससे ज्यादा नुकसान होता है हमारे शरीर को। तो वार्म बिल्कुल जरूरी है कि वार्म होना चाहिए।
Sir, next question is on can the pesticides go away with modern veggie wash available nowadays from Dabur and ITC etc.?
ऐसा कोई स्टडी मेरे ध्यान में नहीं आया कि आप पेस्टिसाइड डालते जाओ और कोई मशीन आपको मिल गया, उसमें वॉश कर दिया और पेस्टिसाइड निकल जाएंगे। देखिए, जो पेस्टिसाइड जाते हैं तो एक तो जो छिटके जाते हैं, स्प्रे होता है, उसकी स्किन पे होता है, पर जो अंदर डाले जाते हैं रूट्स में, उसके रूट्स के थ्रू वो फ्रूट या वेजिटेबल में आते हैं, उसको आप वॉश करके नहीं निकाल सकते। तो सबसे अच्छा तरीका है कि आप उस पेस्टिसाइड का यूज कम होना चाहिए या आप ऑर्गेनिक प्रोडक्ट्स को खोजें। अगर वो नहीं मिला तो उसको अच्छी तरह से धोए और जहाँ पे स्किन निकाल सकते हैं उसको स्किन को निकालें।
Right, sir. How can we reverse hypothyroidism?
या मैंने केमिकल, समय का अभाव था तो केमिकल वाली बात छोड़ दी, पर जो अलग अलग केमिकल आज इस्तेमाल हो रहे हैं, हमें शायद पता नहीं होगा कि जो टूथपेस्ट हम इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं उसमें ट्राइक्लोज़ान नाम का केमिकल है, और ये ट्राइक्लोज़ान नाम का केमिकल थायराइड को डैमेज करता है। तो ऐसे कई सारे केमिकल्स हैं जो आज हम फूड एडिटिव्स के माध्यम से हमारे शरीर में आते हैं। अलग अलग कलर या अलग अलग प्रिजर्वेटिव्स जो हम इस्तेमाल होते हैं पैकेट वाले फूड में, वो हमारी अंतःस्रावी ग्रंथियों को नुकसान पहुंचाते हैं। तो हमें सबसे पहले ऐसी बाहर की चीजें जिसमें फूड एडिटिव्स डाले हुए हैं, पैकेट में जो फूड आता है, उसको बंद करना पड़ेगा या कम करना पड़ेगा। और दूसरा, जितना हो सकता है हमें नेचुरल लाइफस्टाइल की ओर जाना होगा। तीसरा माध्यम है, कई लोग कई सारे पर्सनल केयर प्रोडक्ट्स इस्तेमाल करते हैं, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम मे बी डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ मॉइस्चराइजर्स टू various kinds of maybe hair dyes and things like that, nail polish और वगैरह वगैरह। उसमें भी कई सारे केमिकल्स हैं जो हमारे स्वास्थ्य को नुकसान पहुंचाए। तो ये सभी चीज़ों का हमें उपयोग कम करना होगा। तो क्योंकि ये आजकल जो थायराइड के डिसीज और बहनों में पॉलीसिस्टिक ओवेरियन डिसीज जो ज़्यादा मात्रा में दिख रहे हैं, उसका मैं मानता हूँ एक महत्व कारण है अलग अलग तरह के केमिकल्स। तो उसका उपयोग हमें कम करना चाहिए।
राइट सर। सर, एक क्वेश्चन है, मटके का पानी पीना एडवाइजेबल है? इज इट एडवाइजेबल?
आपका आवाज मुझे ठीक से नहीं सुनाई दिया हरीश जी।
सर, मटके का पानी पीना एडवाइजेबल है? दैट्स अ क्वेश्चन।
हाँ, मटके के पानी में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर ठंडा, बहुत ज्यादा ठंडा पानी हमारी जो अग्नि है, डाइजेस्टिव फायर जो है, पाचन अग्नि, उसको वो कम करता है, तो डाइजेशन ठीक से होता नहीं है। बहुत गर्मी में हम थोड़ा सा ठंडा मटके का पानी पिए तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर हो सकता है और हमेशा वार्म पानी पीते हैं तो सबसे अच्छा है।
सर, लास्ट 2 क्वेश्चंस लेते हैं सर। इज इट गुड टू हैव वार्म वाटर विद लाइम एंड हनी फर्स्ट थिंग इन द मॉर्निंग एवरी डे?
Yeah, of course, those who are not diabetic can take honey, and taking lime in the morning, it has got good eliminative or cleansing effect. So those who are comfortable with it can definitely take it in the morning.
Right, sir. And last question, how to cure fatty liver and high cholesterol?
Yeah, high cholesterol and fatty liver requires reduction of consumption of fat in our diet. तो जो फैट है उसको हमें कम करना पड़ेगा। फैट हमें मिलता है अलग अलग तरह के चर्बी वाले पदार्थ, जैसे नट्स है, ऑयल सीड्स है, और अलग अलग तरह की मिठाइयाँ है, नॉनवेज फूड है, ये सभी में फैट ज़्यादा होता है। घी, तेल, मक्खन, चीज़, बाहर का जो आहार है उसमें जहाँ पे मक्खन, चीज़, घी, तेल या तो जो ट्रांस फैट होता है वो ज़्यादा होता है, तली हुई चीज़ें होती है, ये सबको कम करना पड़ेगा। हमें एक्सरसाइज को बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, हमारा जो एक्सरसाइज का लेवल है उसको बढ़ाए, और रेगुलर हम स्ट्रेस मैनेजमेंट के लिए प्रैक्टिस करें, तो ये 3 चीज़ों के समन्वय से हम अपने ट्राइग्लिसराइड को कम कर सकते हैं।
सर, एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन आया था, ये प्लास्टिक के लिए आपने जो बात किया था। The question is that we normally get water in the water cans which are made of plastic, और पानी उसी में स्टोर रहता है। तो उसका कोई सॉल्यूशन है, कैसे हम करें? तो आपने मुझे प्लास्टिक का बताया, बट नॉर्मली जो पानी भी जो हमारे यहाँ आता है जो प्लास्टिक कैंस में आता है, तो
जी, जो प्लास्टिक टैंक होती है उसमें डेफिनेटली हैज़ार्डस, क्योंकि ऐसा है कि जब भी कोई प्लास्टिक के कंटेनर के ऊपर धूप गिरती है, तो धूप के कारण उसमें प्लास्टिक जिससे बना हुआ है, प्लास्टिसाइजर्स जिसको कहते हैं, केमिकल्स, वो धीरे धीरे पानी में लीच आउट होते हैं। तो हो सकता है कि आप अगर टैंक की हम बात करते हैं तो थिक टैंक यूज करें तो पानी इसमें गर्म नहीं होगा, तो उसमें उतना फायदा हो सकता है। या उसको थोड़ा सा कलर कर दे, आजकल वाइट कलर की भी टैंक मिलती है कि विच कैन रिफ्लेक्ट द हीट, तो वो भी एक फायदा कर सकता है। पर जो हम अच्छी तरह से कर सकते हैं वो कई घरों में मैंने देखा है कि प्लास्टिक के कारबा आरओ वाटर के लेके आते हैं और उसी से पानी पिया जाता है। या तो घर में प्लास्टिक के कंटेनर के अंदर पानी स्टोर किया जाता है या प्लास्टिक की बोतलों के अंदर स्टोर किया जाता है जब व्हेन वी टेक अवे टू अवर ऑफिसेस। तो ये सब चीज़ों को हम कम कर सकते हैं। हम जो कुछ खाने पीने की चीज़ें हैं घर में प्लास्टिक के कंटेनर में रखते हैं, उसको हमें बंद करना चाहिए। रेफ्रिजरेटर में या और कोई कंटेनर में रखते हैं तो उस वहाँ से प्लास्टिक निकालें। प्लास्टिक की बैग आहार को कैरी करने के लिए इस्तेमाल करते हैं, लिक्विड्स को कैरी करने के लिए। चाय भी शायद कई जगह पे उसमें मिलती है या प्लास्टिक के डिस्पोजेबल कप में मिलते हैं, वो हम कम करें। तो ऐसी छोटी-छोटी चीज़ें को चेंज करते हुए हम काफ़ी सारा नुकसान बदल सकते हैं।
सर आपने बहुत वैलिड पॉइंट बोला। इनफैक्ट हमारे ऑफिस में भी पहले चाय आती थी तो वो प्लास्टिक के थैली में वो लेके आता था। We stopped it and we told him कि भाई आप कंटेनर में लेके आओ। So these kind of small changes if we can make. सर लास्ट क्वेश्चन देन डेफिनेटली लोगों को बहुत पूछना है आपको, पर एक क्लास लेते हैं हम लोग। How much water intake should be done daily?
It all depends on the season and the person's प्रकृति। कफ प्रकृति वाले को पानी की रिक्वायरमेंट कम होती है, पित्त प्रकृति वाले को पानी की रिक्वायरमेंट ज़्यादा होती है। गर्मियों में पानी की रिक्वायरमेंट ज़्यादा होती है, सर्दियों में या मानसून में कम होती है। तो उसका सबसे अच्छा इंडिकेटर है प्यास। हमें कितनी प्यास लगती है और उसको कभी रोके नहीं, जितनी प्यास लगती है उतना पीना चाहिए। पर साथ-साथ में ये भी ध्यान रखना ज़रूरी है कि कई सारे लोग वर्कोहॉलिक होते हैं और काम में इतने अंदर डूब जाते हैं कि प्यास लगे कि नहीं लगी वो पता भी नहीं चलता। तो सबसे अच्छा ये है कि हमारी काम की जगह पे टेबल के ऊपर पानी की बॉटल हमेशा रखें, ऑफ कोर्स स्टेनलेस स्टील की, और बीच-बीच में थोड़ा-थोड़ा पानी पीते रहें। तो अपने हिसाब से वो जितनी प्यास है उस हिसाब से हम लेते रहेंगे। तो ये सबसे अच्छा तरीका है। और बिल्कुल साथ-साथ में एक जोड़ दूँ कि भोजन से पहले, भोजन के साथ और भोजन के तुरंत बाद 1 घंटे तक पानी न पिया जाए। अगर पीना भी पड़े तो बहुत कम मात्रा में पिया जाए, नहीं तो वो गैस्ट्रिक जूसेस को डाइल्यूट करेगा और डाइजेशन फिर वो बिगड़ना शुरू होगा। उसके अलावा छोड़ के बाकी के समय में जितना भी ज़रूरी है उतना अच्छी तरह से पानी पीते रहे, वो इम्पोर्टेंट है।
सर पानी का एक लास्ट फूड का क्वेश्चन भी आ गया था, वो भी ले लेते हैं। व्हाट शुड बी द फ्रीक्वेंसी एट व्हिच वी शुड ईट 3 मील्स अ डे और लिटिल लिटिल एट रेगुलर इंटरवल्स?
हरीश जी, आपका आवाज ठीक से नहीं सुनाई दिया।
सर ये क्वेश्चन क्वेश्चन है कि हमको सर कितने फ्रीक्वेंसी में खाना चाहिए? हमको 3 मील लेने चाहिए कि छोटा-छोटा रेगुलर इंटरवल्स में खाना चाहिए?
जी, ये बहुत कंट्रोवर्शियल क्वेश्चन है। कई लोग ऐसा कहते हैं कि हर 2-2, 3-3 घंटे पे खाते रहो, और जो ट्रेडिशनल साइंस है वो कहता है कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए। मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ, आप अपने हिसाब से उसको डिसाइड करें और ऐसे करें। देखिए, प्रिंसिपल ये है कि हम जब भोजन करते हैं, कुछ पेट में डालते हैं, तो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द टाइप ऑफ फूड एंड क्वांटिटी ऑफ फूड, आवर डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम टेक्स टाइम टू डाइजेस्ट इट। आप अगर फल खाते हो तो शायद 1.5-2 घंटे में पेट खाली हो जाएगा, और इतना ही भर के अगर आप लड्डू खाते हो या श्रीखंड खाते हो तो वो पेट में 4-5 घंटे तक वो हिलेगा नहीं। ये हम सबका अनुभव है। उसका मतलब ये हुआ कि फल पचने में हल्के हैं और मिठाइयाँ या तली हुई चीज पचने में भारी है। नाउ अगर आपने मिठाइयाँ खा ली है और वो पेट से हिला नहीं है, आगे बढ़ा नहीं है, और आप दूसरी चीज पेट में डालते रहेंगे 2-2, 3-3 घंटे पे, तो जाहिर है कि आपने उसको पचाया नहीं, उसके पहले चीजें डाली तो वो इंडाइजेशन करने ही वाला है। तो आप कौन सी चीजें खाते हो और कितनी क्वांटिटी में, तो सबसे अच्छा ये है कि दूसरा खाने से पहले हम पेट को देखें, अनुभव करें कि क्या पेट हल्का हुआ है कि नहीं। जनरली दिन में 3 या मैक्सिमम 4 बार से ज़्यादा खाना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम जो एक बार खाया उसको पचाने के लिए कम से कम 2-3 घंटा लेता है, कम से कम। और उसके बाद 1-2 घंटे का उसको आराम देना चाहिए। आप कॉन्स्टेंटली डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम को काम देते रहेंगे तो वो तो उसको आगे चल के वो थक ही जाने वाला है और इंडाइजेशन होने वाला है। तो हो सकता है तो मैक्सिमम 3 बार या एट द मोस्ट 4 टाइम्स, और उसमें 2 बार या मैक्सिमम 3 बार, उससे ज्यादा फूड नहीं होना चाहिए। बाकी का एक टाइम कम से कम फ्रूट का मील होना चाहिए, एक बार फ्रूट का मील या 2 और 3 बार कुक्ड मील। उससे ज्यादा बीच में खाना या चाय या और कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए, पानी के अलावा कुछ नहीं। दैट इज द बेस्ट वे। जो लोग वीक है या जो बीमारी में से रिकवर हो रहे हैं, शायद उनके लिए छोटे मील, वेरी लाइट टू डाइजेस्ट मील, लिक्विड मील थोड़ा सा फ्रिक्वेंटली जरूरत बनेगी थोड़े समय के लिए, पर बाकी सभी के लिए ये नियम ठीक मुझे लगता है।
थैंक यू सर। आई थिंक सर हमारा लास्ट वीक एक चैलेंज था, ईट अर्ली, हम लोग 7:30 से पहले खाने का चैलेंज था, तो द पीपल आर कंटिन्यूइंग विद और शायद ये भी करेंगे, तो आई एम श्योर सर वो भी बेनिफिशियल है टू इंप्रूव आवर डाइजेशन।
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड।
Thank you, sir, for a wonderful session. I would request Divya to please provide a vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of organizing team, it's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks for this wonderful session. My heart fills with lots of gratitude for our speaker, Dr. Bharat Shah sir, for not only sparing their valuable time for us to grace this session on this beautiful Sunday morning, but also for enlightening us with their commendable talks on the subject. Thank you, sir, for sharing wonderful information and enhancing our understanding pertaining to the topic. And thank you for answering all our questions. Really, we are highly obliged. This vote of thanks would be incomplete without expressing my gratitude for those who have been working really hard and carrying out all the allotted duties very diligently. Needless to say that has taken care of audio-visual system very nicely so that we can proceed without any interaction. Thanks to the technical team. Thank you, Harit sir, and the entire team for organizing such a wonderful carnival. And a big thanks to all the participants who have joined today and helped us in making this resounding success. Finally, I want to end with this inspiring quote by Swami Vivekananda: "Arise, awake, and stop not until goal is achieved." Once again, thank you all for your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya ji, Harit ji, Vishan bhai, or entire team who has given me opportunity to talk with you people. Thank you.
Thank you.